Hello. Okay, so we are going to be talking about Hashaton SCARAB'S, a very cool commander. Very excited to play it. So we probably already know what the commander is, so we're not going to talk too much about it, but we're going to kind of lean on how we could build around it. Everyone likes to build this commander a little bit differently to another, so I'm hoping this video will be a little bit different to other cards. Some of them will be cards you probably already know you should put in there. Some of the cards I'm going to include there that I preferably think that it just fits in, and I'm going to put some honorable mentions as well. I will put in a deck list in the link below, so if you want to check out the deck and you want to play the cards that I'm working on, be my guest, you can check it out. If you don't like the cards that you see in there, be happy to change it. Keep in mind, it is a bracket 4. If you don't know what a bracket 4 is, it's worth looking up online about that, what it is. So essentially, it's like a power level to 1 to 10, but instead of 1 to 10, we have 1 to 5 with some restrictions to it, made by Wizard of the Coast. Still in beta as the day I'm making this video. So as of right now, it's on bracket 4. That's why I'm working on this on, mostly because of stables, and you'll see other things I put in the deck in the moxfield. Otherwise, let's get back to this card right here, and what do we want to build around it, how we want to build it. It's all going to be different to one to another, how people play it. So let's get to it. So we're going to focus on not madness, not psycho, just a very generic, simple draw and discard effect and a way to discard the cards. So one of the cards we're going to start with is mostly creatures at the moment, and it's to discard a card. So I'll include a bunch of cards in here right now and why I included them and what makes them good. So here's the list, and we're going to go one by one. So we got like Imp, really simple, mana black, can discard a card, bump him up. So basically you don't need any restrictions, tap symbol, really easy to discard. Then you got Ghostly. It can be really strong. You can also draw cards if opponent cards is from exile or from graveyard. Already great synergy wise. Can also be used to discard. Also can let you draw cards. Immediately very powerful tool. Then you got Jace, a 0/2. Can draw and discard. This card was a bit of a hit and miss for me, but I do like the flexibility and the ability to also turn into Planewalker, which is not what you want to go for, but still good for early game. And then you got Kitsa, Altar Bowl. Okay, so this one here, Altar Wizard. I would be very cautious about how you play this card. I have done a bit of looking around on this card, and turns out this card can be turned into a combo piece. So I haven't included with it, but you can go combo with this deck quite easily, especially making it into a power 4 token, because if you read the ability, it says copy instant sorcery you control, you may choose new target of the copy, activate only if this card is power 3 or greater. Obviously with the token being a full 4, you can already know that you don't need to bump it up with non-creature spell because it will be already at power 4. Immediately out of the bat, we can combo up with something, but that's not what our plan on this deck is. We got some other cards here. We got like Looter, can turn into cards in the graveyard. We can also join this card. It's a flyer, really strong, very cheap. Then we got some Psychic Frog, and we got ways to draw a card when you do damage. Can make it flying, and you also can get rid of some cards from your graveyard and make it into your flying. So if an opponent were to try to reanimate your card or steal something from you, this is a great way to get rid of those cards using Psychic Frog. Then we got Right-Hit Tomb Mystic. Sorry if I can't pronounce it right. Zombie Bird Wizard. Makes a creature cycling. It's a 2/1. It's not a bad card. I will just put this for time being. I mean, it's a good card. It's a 2/1 flyer. Can make cards cycling, draws you cards. Great synergy. And that's kind of what we're leaning on 2 mana and 1 mana creatures at the moment. And then from here on, we're going to move on to mana 3 or greater. So, this is the 3 mana cards. So we got Big Hunter. Big Hunter is very simple, very straightforward. This card is actually very cool synergy, and I don't think many people notice this, which is one of the cards that I think people need to start putting this in the deck. Because it has a very funny wording to it. So, as you may know, that this also works with madness cards. Perfect, especially with cycling, but this specific card, Big Hunter, Game Hunter, it makes just a lot of sense to put in the deck. So the reason why I put him in the deck is because it's a removal and it can also be reanimated. And also with whenever a creature, when this card enters the battlefield, it can destroy a target creature with a power 4 greater. It cannot be regenerated, which is a great card already immediately at the bat. And then it has a madness cost of 1 black, and it says if you were to discard this card into the exile, when I do, I can pay the madness cost or put it to your graveyard. Now, you might be thinking, but Max, SCARAB'S says would go to the graveyard if you go discard, but it goes to exile instead. No, because if you read Hashaton's SCARAB'S card very specifically, it doesn't care about any of the graveyards, because it would read whenever you discard a card. So, the important factor you should take into account is that it doesn't matter where you discard the card to, whether it's from exile zone or to the graveyard. The only wording matters is the fact that it is discarded. So, meaning that you can make a token of this card by paying the 3, and you get to play this card, Big Hunter, and play the game for 1 black mana. That is total 4 mana used to get rid of 2 creatures, and you get 2 blockers, 1 enters tapped, the other doesn't enter tapped. Great card already out of the bat. With other synergies, so if you don't have Hashaton on the field, that's okay. You have other engine to discard the card, pay the madness, and use as an instant removal creature at flash speed. Best part about it is the fact it only costs 1 black mana immediately at the bat. We got Bog Witch, self-explanatory. You pay 1 black, you discard it, you card, you get 3 black mana. You can use that mana to basically pay for Hashaton abilities or other cards that you might have. Gleaming Overseer is a great card to put in the deck. Absolutely recommend putting it in, because if you will make this card token with Hashaton, it will count itself as a token, making it itself and other zombie tokens as well hexproof and menace. Incredible. Why not to include it? Not only that, it's also a 4 blocker. It makes hexproof and menace, and it gives you 1 additional zombie army ETB. Cabal, we're going to go into this a little bit detail, but in short, we're making tokens, and we also just basically trying to drain people also while making tokens, because you, as you already know, they're into tapped, so may as well make some use of it by getting some life from it. So we'll be making a lot of tokens in many ways in this deck, but as of right now, you gain life, and yeah, but gotta remember is that if you got more than 1 token entering at the same time, they will still only lose 1 life and you gain only 1. So keep that in mind. It also affects with opponents' cards as well. So if they were to make a token, you get to make a token. This includes clues, treasures, food, whatever. Already a great card. Very cheap, very useful. Then we have Lurus, a great reanimated card. The downside to it can only be 2 mana or less. Cannot return cards like land. I was considering putting Sun Titan in this deck, but then I thought to myself, well, Sun Titan is okay, costs a lot of mana, but I would rather have some consistency. So I required Lurus because it's a lifelink. It can return not only cards every time, like not just creatures, but also permanents, so like Soul Ring, and other artifacts, enchantments, and creatures that cost mana 2 and less. So it's really good, very useful. You can reanimate it with the SCARAB'S, and basically, you know, you have Lurus in the graveyard, and then you can just reanimate something. Obsessive Stitcher, a great reanimated card, self-explanatory, not much to say about it. Reanimated card, discard and draw, is a free blocker. And then Refine is a great card to put in there. It's can be very good, easy to draw and discard, put counters and stuff, and it's just really, really heavily good. Tomb Blonde Village, Great card immediately out of my bat. One of my favorite cards personally. Can make Death Touch, Lifelink. You know, already two cards in this. Two keywords in this that I personally find very useful. Not only that, but also it can let you draw and discard, and when it deals damage to a player, you draw and discard. So, consistency is what I like. Moving on to the mana 4 greater creatures, we got Witch Enchanter. You know, it could be a land or removal. It's up to you to decide. The good thing about it is that the creature's the front side of it, meaning that you can reanimate it using Loris, thankfully. And then we got Abdel, which is a great way to protect your stuff. So if there were to be a bolt wipe, this could be a great incentive to basically cast Scrap Fist by discarding card in response to the bolt wipe, and then get Abdel, Adrian to the field, exile your creatures, and then when the bolt wipe happens, the cards come back. You get to make 1/1 creature, and not only that, but you get your creatures back from the field. We also got infinite combo with this card as well, which we'll go into that later in this video. Then we got some other cards here. So we got Arcane Field of Filter. So we got some Cycling, can -1/1. You probably already know this is a really good synergy. We got Warhammer 4K card. Draws our cards when token enters. Can also pay mana to basically make 2/2 creatures. This Drake will also go in this deck as well. Like I said, I have designed this deck to be more or less strong, and it's a win condition, so you'll be up against more stronger opponents. So it does need some flexibility into winning the game, because there is, of course, no Laboratory Maniac. There's no Approaching the Second Sun. So I'm just aiming to be more of a token themed deck to win with it, and that was my plan. And then we got some strong cards here. So whenever opponent draws cards, you may draw 2 cards. We got Dream Eater, basically a really good way to start putting stuff in your graveyard and bounce something back. It can also be flash cards, so if you don't want to put it in the graveyard, you instead want to play it, a great card to put in. You got Dream Thrower, which is one of my favorite cards to put in the deck. Very underrated, very cheap. It's like only like 50 cents. And whenever you draw a card, you get 1 buff on it. And not only that, you get to discard it and apply Hexproof Druid Trawler. And you basically just tap it as well in response. But that's okay, because nothing beats having a great lifelink flyer on the field that can swing for damage, get your life, and draw your cards on attack. Great card. Massacre Worm, great card for board wipe. Can do it on the opponent's end step, and then you just board wipe the small tokens. And then we got some reanimated cards here and there. So we got a Miracle card, and just to be able to return card with lifelink. So it's good thing about it is, like, it doesn't say cast, just says enters, so you can just basically return it. It also has lifelink itself. What not to like about it? And then we got Gear Hulk, a great removal, Menace, Destroy, get life, even more stuff. You got Sister Hospitala, sorry if I'm not pronouncing it right. Another way to basically return cards from your graveyard. You get life, great card, great synergy, dirt cheap, very nice. And then we're going to go a bit more steep, a bit more expensive cards from here on. Angel of Serenity is basically a card that I like to use either as a removal or to protect my stuff. So if I see a bolt wipe coming up, I basically take advantage of this. If I see a graveyard hate, I will basically exile one of my key cards in my graveyard and keep it on Angel of Serenity. So already a great way to protect your stuff and flexibility. So I like that a lot. So we make sure that we have everything, every situation ready to happen. Then we have Elish Norn. Again, obnoxious card, similar to Massacre Worm, but it's very good to basically beat the opponent with it. Hullbreaker Horror. I think that Hullbreaker Horror is a fun card to put in the deck. I don't know if that's something I would want to put in the deck. I'm still on the fence keeping it. But if anything, it is a fun card to put in. So, and then you got Overseer the Damned, a great way to remove, make tokens. Which really goes really well with Cabal, because you'll be making tokens, and also if you got with your Warhammer, you'll be making tokens with that as well, and getting draws from that. Great synergy straight off the bat. Then you got some Tudor, ETB, such Tudor, Shadow, basically. It also got madness cost, uh, 3 folk, um, just basically make tokens, and it, you know, just does a lot of damage. Gives you blockers as well, and with mix up with Elish Norn, you can just make them even more stronger, more powerful. Then you got Toxrill, a very obnoxious card. I like this card to put in the deck because it's definitely strong in many ways, and I just think it's good and flexible. And then we got Raya to return cards from graveyard, and then we got Jinx Wrath, Core Aga. Yeah. So we got Flash. At the beginning of your end step, you draw 7 cards, and each opponent's hand side is now reduced by 7. So obnoxious card, but it can win you games. It's another win con of mine, and it can give you more answers. Like I said, there's only like 2 choose in this deck. There's not really that much to do, but in hopes that you would draw a good curve. Okay, and that's the creatures basically. Then we got a sorcery spells cards here, and we got here Reanimate, Damnation, Wraith, and Coiling Rebirth. So basically 2 Reanimator, 2 board wipes. That's what I felt like was appropriate to put in. Instant, we're gonna focus mostly on 1 being a tutor and the rest being a removal spells. I think that's the best way to use this deck. You can put in some, you can replace some mana rocks if you want to add more interaction. Preferably, I like to keep it linear because you're already applying some creatures in your deck that is in a way can be used as a removal. Then we got artifacts, more ways to discard, more ways to mana rocks. We also got Underworld Book, another way to return and stuff like that, and Celsius, discard, draw, and with the One Ring, because why not? We're just slapping in there some cards and synergy wise, and you know, give you protection by your time. Like I said, the bracket is 4, but you can insert a card that you believe you should remove it and keep it in bracket 3. Up to you to decide. I'm aiming for a little bit more higher power, a little bit more fun for me, and a little bit more stronger because it's more fun for me to play more stronger cards. Enchantments, Tortured Existence, Animated Dead, Black Market Connection, and one of our own favorite cards that we all hate on the table, Rimstick Study. Why would I put Rimstick Study in this deck when we're playing draw in this card deck? So, this is the situation where I kind of like thought to myself, like, how much tutor do we have in this deck? And the answer was not that many, and this was the most flexible choice I could have come up with. If you don't like playing Rimstick Study, then you can always replace it with more draw engine like Phyrex and Arena, or something more linear and simple without hurting the play group. So if you don't like Rimstick Study and you already find out already obnoxious, avoid it. Just avoid. And in land we got like 36, that includes the creature that could be flip land, so that's 37. So technically 37, but the lands itself 36. We also got Aza Saga. The reason why I put in Aza Saga is not just because of Soul Ring, but also because we can fetch Underworld Cook. And yeah, so you can search for Soul Ring or Underbook, make a creature token, so you can also use it to drain opponents with Cabal. And yeah, you can replace some creatures to double the tokens as well, so if you want to do that, you can. Yeah, so that's the deck. The whole plan of this deck is to drain opponents and stuff like that. Now I'm going to go to the combo side of the deck. So how do you win with this deck, and how would you want to play around it? So the purpose of this deck is very simple. You kind of just want to go into in a mindset of making tokens and kind of control the board state in a way, and try to see if you can get the pieces for your combo ready, or win with just combat damage or Massacre Worm or something like that. I meant Abdel, and Adrian. You wanna use that with Animated Dead, and basically what you wanna do is you wanna put it onto him, and then you wanna exile Animated Dead, and then Abdel will basically leave and go to the graveyard, and then you basically cause yourself to make 1/1 white soldier tokens infinitely. and so that's already really fun for me. Um, and then you can throw in like cards like Cabal, and basically you could drain opponents for every time you make 1/1 token, because it's a separate text and separate triggers. So really fun, really straightforward. Then you have Tortured Existence, Drake, and your commander. That basically goes infinite. So the way it works is you have Hashaton, Scrapbase, Tortured Existence. So this is the way it works. You follow the steps here, and then you will basically get to do the funny thing. So here's some honorable mentions. So the cards that did not make the list, but I still think it's worth mentioning them, because personally I think they're fun, and they're still casual in my opinion. So if you see them as something that you want to put in there, be my guest. I recommend putting them in if you see them fit in your deck. But so the ones I recommend is Neston Dove Hawk, a great way to make tokens. You can token itself, make even more tokens, and now that you have more ways to generate tokens, it just becomes a crazy, crazy, crazy card deck. And not only that, but also that they enter untapped when you make a token copy of it. So already really fun. And you also have Service, Hidden Ways. I really like this card. I removed it due to the a little bit too high demand. But I honestly really like this card a lot, and I think it's fun. It's very strong as a commander itself, but in a 99, not so much. However, I do think that this card, it's really, really fun, and it really works with discarding and stuff like that, so I do think it's fun. Another card I recommend in putting in is Dreamscape Artist, another really casual card I like to play, but I kind of removed it because I thought to myself it will be not very consistent. It's also very niche, so it's also going to be a lot of basic, so my deck does not have a lot of basic. It only has, I believe, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 basics in this deck, so it could be good, but I'd rather not. And it requires also to tap itself as well, and it needs Summoning Signet. You pay 3 mana. It might not come in late game very well, but still, I love this card. I think it's good. Another card to consider putting in is Scrap God. A great card to put in, drain opponents, scry, looking for answers. I preferably didn't put it in, but you know what? It works for some people, and I just don't really see it, in my opinion, to fit in the deck. Um, but yeah, you can also put in some cards like Horde Scrap, Horde Wing Scrap, makes other flying zombies, join this card. It's a good card, but I have a little bit of a concern about it because it needs to hit a player. It does make them fly, which is pretty nice. But I don't know if it's something that I would need early on the game, and it doesn't feel as consistent when during the early game, because if I draw into it, and I discard and draw, and it just doesn't feel as rewarding, you know. It just really situational. I'd still on the fence put it in, but there's too many good cards to replace and choose. Another card I would like to put it in there, but also fun, is from Under the Floorboards. This card is dirt cheap. I highly recommend it. I really like it. But basically the reason why I put it in is mostly because of the madness. I can discard it at instant speed using one of my creatures to activate it, or cookbook, and then basically make loads of zombies, but I believe that they enter tapped, unfortunately. But the main really reason is because they are big creatures. You can also make them bigger with Elish Norn. You can also make use of them with cards like the Warhammer 4K, basically Game On Live as well. And also, not only that, but also with Gleaming Overseer, because the tokens, and they get Menace as well, which is really fucking cool. And so it's already feels like a very good card to mention on top of my head. But again, I'm trying to go for more of a bracket 4, trying to win more of a win con, and that's where I'm going with this deck. So I do hope that this gives you a clear example where you want to go with this deck. I really hope that this gives you a sense of direction if this is what you want to build around it. Like I said, I hope you liked it. And if you want to see something more of these videos or see more content, be my guest. I really enjoy making this deck. It's going to be ready hopefully next week. But I am super happy how it goes with, and I'm really happy with the results of this deck. Probably gonna be my favorite one, preferably. But I hope that you enjoyed this video, and I will see you next time.